and growth to unique documentaries, from live event coverage to bespoke productions, will deliver content that connects you to the world. At SOUQNews Television, we provide news surrounding business, economy, and development, infomercials and jingles that stand out, short and long-form documentaries crafted to international standards, independent production spaces with full technical support, special coverage for individual and corporate events, a special form of documentaries through our prestige package, Immortals, where we tell your story the way you'd love it, and business support services tailored for small enterprises. SOUQNews TV, powered by FemWatch Limited, also home to the Isle 95.9 FM Lagos and Kasua 99.7 FM Kano, and Emirate News Television Abuja, together forming Africa's trusted media powerhouse. Storytelling, coverage, and connection that matters. SOUQNews TV, your home for business, economy, and development.
When Emeka talks about black gold, he isn't referring to oil. He buys it in sacks, not barrels. He sells it from a metal shack to customers in Lagos, Nigeria's commercial capital. Charcoal is big business in Africa. He says there's enough money in the charcoal trade to make the wealthy envious in several African countries. Charcoal has fueled Africa's urbanization. It is energy dense and difficult to regulate, much like the cities it powers. Despite concerns about pollution, deforestation, and illicit money flows, charcoal remains indispensable. In this special report, written by Bayo Olaoye, he explored the value of Africa's charcoal economy, estimated to be worth billions of dollars, and assesses its viability. Nearly 200 million Africans cook primarily with charcoal, including 27% of urban dwellers. That share has grown since 1960, replacing much of its previous reliance on firewood. If there's been an African energy transition, it has been from one type of wood fuel to another. Charcoal's appeal lies in its convenience. By weight, it contains nearly twice as much energy as the wood it's derived from, making it easier to transport and ideal for megacities with fragile infrastructure. In Kinshasa, a Congolese metropolis of 18 million people, almost everyone cooks with it. Never before have cities grown so large while relying so heavily on wood-based fuel. In rural Africa, tens of millions of people make charcoal using earth kilns, outnumbering the world's coal miners. The process involves heating wood under low oxygen conditions to remove moisture and volatile gases. Logs and branches are stacked in a pile, covered with grass and soil, and burned for several days. This yields 1 to 2 tons of charcoal from 10 tons of dry wood. The process emits more carbon than simply burning the wood. Much of the raw wood is free, harvested from farmers' own land or from forests. Many charcoal producers are farmers selling to traders when in need of cash. Others are entrepreneurs who bring in work teams, distribute chainsaws, and pay off landowners or local chiefs. Locals often complain about outsiders cutting down their trees. In Kenya and Uganda, vigilantes have even attacked charcoal trucks. Africa's charcoal trade is estimated to be worth tens of billions of dollars, possibly more than the continent earns from cocoa or coffee. The money trail often leads to soldiers or government officials. The United Nations Security Council banned charcoal exports from Somalia because jihadists were earning millions by exporting it to the Gulf, where shisha smokers prize the aroma of acacia wood. Charcoal production leaves destruction in its wake. In Mozambique's Mabalane district, 2/3 of the woodland was affected by charcoal harvesting in the decade leading to 2018, according to one study. To mitigate the damage, governments oscillate between legalizing the trade, through licensing and forest management and banning it outright. Sudden bans, however, often fuel a black market. Enforcement becomes a chaotic negotiation involving traders, officials, police, soldiers, and local communities. Lorry drivers move at night and pay bribes to checkpoints. In Uganda, where charcoal production is banned, it's smuggled across the border and transported under official seals from South Sudan. Other policies promote clean cooking. Liquid petroleum gas, LPG, which burns cleaner than charcoal, is exempted from VAT in Kenya. Some companies have introduced metered gas canisters so consumers can pay as they go, easing upfront costs. Today, more than half of urban Kenyans use LPG as their main cooking fuel. Bond Manufacturing, a company known for efficient stoves, has stopped selling its charcoal models and now promotes electric stoves subsidized by carbon credits. Experts say charcoal is on the decline in Kenya, though it remains prevalent in countries like Madagascar and Zambia, where alternatives are limited. Phasing out charcoal will have economic consequences. The trade is informal and decentralized, while gas is distributed through large firms and creates fewer jobs. Charcoal provides roughly 275 workdays per terajoule consumed, compared with 95 for electricity and 15 for LPG. Gas imports also strained foreign currency reserves. For now, most consumers juggle multiple energy sources. Charcoal production in Africa is still growing at about 2% annually. But one thing is clear: as long as there is the ghetto, there will always be charcoal. I'm Moyosore Adebi for SOUQNews TV.
Deep Nigeria, because it's the mind that needs to first of all be rebranded.
Literally said he's going to be putting Nigerian labor, Nigeria content and materials first.
If we say Nigeria first and it is just us down here that, are pushing that agenda, it's going to be a big struggle.
Do you think Nigerian firms, Nigerian organizations should start looking at getting their staff involved in this market or buying to keep for their staff?
Within this side, let's also learn citizen diplomacy. See something. This is SOUQ business landscape. They say Friday sees more smile than any day of the week. And with that, I welcome you to another edition of SOUQ Business Landscape, where we unpack the week's biggest stories shaping Africa's economy and global markets. I am Olumide Shukoya, and also I have the fair one, as Chooks calls him, but I like to call him the perfect gentleman, Onyimpre Krumale.
Good morning to you.
Thank God it's Friday, I say to you.
Yes, thank God it's Friday, but I'm already anticipating my weekend. It's going to be as busy as the week has been. Yes, it's good to be here. It's a wonderful Friday, and
let's talk business development and economy.
Yes, please.
Also, we have our guest on standby. That's Mokhtar Amin. He will join us virtually soon. But let me intimate you to what's on the plate this morning on SOUQ Business Landscape. So we start with Nigeria's Finance Minister, Wale Edun, takes the helm of the G-24 with a bold reform agenda for developing nations. Inflation deepens energy poverty as millions struggle to afford electricity. And of course, the Senate moves to enforce a total ban on sachet alcohol by December. Plus, custom faces scrutiny over alleged secret auctions, car import slumps amid economic pressure, and the government empowers women engineers with 200 million in innovation grants. We also track Nigeria's foreign reserves, now projected to hit $45 billion in Eurobond momentum. And a surprise twist from Washington, President Trump suspends port fees in a bid to reset trade talks with China. It's all right here, insights, trends, and the stories driving business and policy this week. So we're going on a short break, and when we come back, we'll start off on stage.
Deep Nigeria, because it's the mind that needs to first of all be rebranded.
Literally said he's going to be putting Nigerian labor, Nigeria content and materials first.
If we say Nigeria first and it is just us down here that, pushing that agenda, it's going to be a big struggle.
Do you think Nigerian firms, Nigerian organizations should start looking at getting their staff involved in this market or buying to keep for their staff?
Within this side, let's also learn citizen diplomacy. See something. This is SOUQ business landscape.
Fellow Nigerians, did you know that constituency and executive projects in your communities are not gifts from your legislators? They are projects sponsored by the legislators and funded by the federal government to improve your life and the lives of those around you. These projects belong to you. Without your vigilance, they might never be completed. Don't allow them to fade away into unfulfilled promises. Stand up, take ownership, monitor their progress, demand accountability, and report concerns to ICPC. Call our toll-free line now on 0800-2255-4272 or WhatsApp only on 0806-656-4726. This message is brought to you by the Independent Corrupt Practices and Other Related Offences Commission, ICPC, with support from MacArthur Foundation and the Center for Democracy and Development in Africa, CDD.
Think like that because it's the mind that needs to first of all be rebranded.
Deepens said he's going to be putting Nigerian labor, Nigeria content and materials first.
If you say Nigeria first and it is just us down here that, are pushing that agenda, it's going to be a big struggle.
Do you think Nigerian firms, Nigerian organizations should start looking at getting their staff involved in this market or buying to keep for their staff?
Within this side, let's also learn citizen diplomacy. See something. This is SOUQ business landscape.
Welcome back to SOUQ Business Landscape. Now, don't forget to like, comment, and share on our YouTube at SOUQNews TV. Let's start off with the biggest story for today. Nigeria's Minister of Finance and Coordinating Minister of the Economy, Wale Edun, has taken over as chairman of the Intergovernmental Group of 24, that is the G-24, pledging to drive reforms across 5 priority areas. Edun succeeds Argentina's Minister of Treasury, Luis Caputo, who was credited with enhancing coordination among member countries. Now, the G-24 represents the interest of emerging markets from Africa, Asia, and Latin America in major global economic policy discussions. As chair, Edun is expected to strengthen advocacy for equitable global financial reforms, inclusive growth, debt sustainability, climate financing, and technology access, in line with the group's mission to amplify the voice of developing countries in multilateral decision-making. So I'll say, first of all, congratulations to Wale Edun for this feat that Nigeria has been placed upon. They say, to whom much is given, much is expected. So let me start with this. What does Nigeria's leadership, what do you think it's, as the G24, Nigeria's leadership of the G24, what do you think it will mean for Africa's influence, in a global financial reform?
I think, first of all, if we are going to look at Edun, taking that place, let us, look at the G24 itself and what it actually means for, not only for Edun, assuming the position as the leader, as a chairman, but also the G24 itself, what it had, the responsibilities that it has been charged with or saddled with to run in the whole frame of global economic activities across the world. First of all, the G24 is a subset of the G77, the group of 77. The group of 77 also a subset of third world countries. If I'm not going to use the word third world countries, I'm going to use it developing countries, emerging economies in the United Nations. And they were, I'm trying to remember when exactly they were established. And the reason why they have them there is so that they can, try to promote their economies, liaise together to facilitate diplomatic economic policies that will affect core areas of their economy, and also to promote and push the agenda of the emerging economies. Now, the G-24 is a subset of that group of 77, and they are a group of developing countries too that was established in 1971 with its goal to work together to coordinate the positions of developing countries on international monetary and development finances. So, the Bretton Woods institution have the IMF, International Monetary Fund. Then you have the World Bank and the Paris Club and the likes. They, most of the time, fashion the global economic direction of the world with regards to global policies that borders on finances, and including the loans that the Bretton Woods institution would advance to developing economies. Now, the group of 24 is to sit down together and to influence these decisions to make sure that this monetary decisions that is being taken by the Bretton Woods institution aligns, promotes, and fosters the economic activities of these emerging economies. So, Wale Edun position, yes, is a colossus, more like an institution in when it comes to financial activities and the policies that should drive the economic, entities of government and bringing development to the country. But now it has been, it was formerly just in Nigeria, but now it has been broadened to take it, to occupying not only continental, but also the global stage. So it's not just representing Nigeria and the continent of Africa, it's representing emerging economies in Asia, in the Americas and Latin America, you name it, in other continents as well. And the G24 doesn't only, have 24 countries. By, I think it was December 2020, there were already 28 countries. So Wale Edun is going to be liaising with the International Monetary Fund, with the Paris Club, and other multilateral financial organizations to make sure that the policies that is going to be coming forward from henceforth are going to find expression without any bottleneck in the group of 24. But since that is now the case, let us look at the agenda. Now let's come to Wale Edun and look at the agendas that he aims to push, and which are covering 5 core areas, covering global financial reforms, inclusive growth, debt sustainability, that's very, very key. Climate finance and technology access that reflect structural barriers that limit development countries' progress, most especially technology. If we look at it, if we are starting from technology, first of all, whatever technology that the third world countries, have access to, or that has been advantageous to the promotion of its economic policies and to, expanding development activities or promoting and expanding industrialization. Very, 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 very few of them were locally developed. Most of them are developed by the first world countries. Yes. And since most of them are developed by the first world countries, it is what the first world countries feel that they can sell to you, because this is intellectual property.
Which they would not sell.
No, not that they will outright not sell, but they are not going to, the way you protect intellectual property, if you are doing a business and you are into production and you are using certain strategy or you are adopting certain technology that is enabling your organization to function in a very productive, profitable, and sustainable way. You would not be in a haste to let that out of your sight or to make it something very, very common and accessible by your business rivals, by your rivals and your competitors in the space. So you need to guard it. And that is what the developed countries have done. And I don't think they've done anything wrong with that, because they have paid the price in not only exploring, but also carrying out research to discovering and developing such level of technology. So if other countries are going to have access to it. They have to limit the way and manner they let it out of your sight. First of all, if I'm to make example, the United Nations, I beg your pardon, the United States of America, when Nigeria approached them for some of their military hardware and technologies, first of all, they accused the Nigerian government that look, okay, there were sometimes the Nigerian military wanted to take out the terrorists and they shot the terrorists, but it was an innocent community that was bombed, not once. And I think it happened more than once, but we know it happened twice, if not more than twice. Some of them went to the IDP camps. So, and there was accusation leveled against the Nigerian government that, look, you're not your targets, you're missing your targets, so innocent lives are going for it. When we approached the United States, they told us, look, we cannot advance this technology to you because we know the strength of it, and it's, we call it the volatility and, having the capacity to cause maximum destruction, but to an enemy. So we can't just let it out of our sight and give it to you, except you bind yourself to the lay law. And the lay law is that of the United States of America not to sell out military hardware to any country that is known for misusing it to cause harm or injury to innocent people. That means if you sign that law, or if they will make sure that the activities of that country, and they would have reviewed and assessed the activities of that country that is requiring or asking for such military hardware, to make sure that the activities of fighting terrorism are aligned with that perspective before they will let it out and sell it to you. Definitely. And even at that, you have to use it according to those laws. Yes. So the Tucanos that we have, yes, if you see, since that time, you could see that the Nigerian military too have been quite very, very careful and very precise whenever they are dealing with the terrorists. So that is the same thing, to protect your economic power, to protect your economic strength. So they can't just let it out. So whichever one they are letting out, technology, to sell to other countries, is something they have more than 10, 20 times advanced over. Recently, I think that was in the first, quite early in this administration, the Minister of Agriculture of Israel came to Nigeria, and he was having a conversation. He met with the Minister of the Federal Capital Territory, Nyesom Wike. I think that was during the inception of the current administration. And he was talking with it, and they were talking about the possible collaboration between Nigeria and Israel, most especially to delve towards agriculture and how to facilitate not only the economic diplomatic ties, but also to the exchange of technology to make sure that our production moves to an efficient level. And when it was his time to speak, he said he is surprised that in Nigeria we still eat not cucumber, the big red fruit or vegetable, I'm trying to remember the name, that has some seeds in it. Melon. He said, I see in Nigeria you're still trying to eat melon with the seeds inside. He said in Israel, the seeds have been dissolved. Yes. That is technology. In agriculture, it has been dissolved. Whatever the technology that was used for that, I don't think, probably others may have access to it, but obviously we still eat our melons with seeds, so I don't think we have access to such technology yet. And the government will not employ that. It has to be private business dealings that will bring that in. And so countries, if they are going to have this economic advantage globally to promote their economy, they will need to limit that. So Wale Edun, occupying that position, if technology is part of the core that he will be dealing with, needs to liaise with the developed countries and become an intermediary to facilitate the inflow of such technologies like this and more. The other part had to do with debt.
Yes, I was coming with that.
Yes, had to do
loan
with
sustainability.
Loan sustainability. So when we are coming for, it's going to be hard because sometimes the Bretton Woods institution will be telling you, they've been telling Nigerians for a long time, remove fuel subsidy, fuel subsidy. They've been singing that song. Most government didn't want to do it, but the current administration came, heeded to them and did it.
Yes.
And it was based on the excuse that those who were managing the process were the one feeding fat of it, and the people for which it was meant for, it was not percolating down to the people, you know, at the grassroots level. So now we've removed it. We're paying a price for it, but ultimately we hope to get to a better place. So if it's going to talk about loans now, for me, Wale Edun should be advancing loans that promote industrialization in the continent of Africa.
Yes.
But if the advanced climes were to be talking about loans to be channeled towards industrialization, pumping into your country, with time, you're going to become very, very industrialized, and you will move towards a level where you become more independent to the extent that you may not be very, very reliant or dependent on the first world countries.
Let's get Mokhtar Amin. If we can have Mokhtar Amin. Mokhtar Amin, so glad to have you. All right, we'll try and get Mokhtar Amin to hear some of his own
yes.
thoughts.
So in that specific case, we have to, you know, come to a position where we want to work as an industrialized country, and as it is now, for most of the developing economies, we have raw materials, earth, gold, iron ore, cobalt, lithium, you name it. And for Nigeria, we have gas, and we also have the crude oil. Yes. Angola, Algeria, Gabon, they have crude oil. And, you know, with our technology or our level of development has not gotten to an extent whereby we can start thinking and processing it. Yes. And the world is fighting climate change. So every aspect of development now needs to be sustainable. And if we're going to be having sustainable development so that we don't, you know, put our environment in danger whilst trying to make a living and develop and experience economic growth, we won't have to put our environment, you know, it will not be to the detriment of our environment. In that specific sense, they are telling us you need to go renewable energy, you need to go the direction of renewable energy. And if we're talking about renewable energy, we do not have a plant here. And I think the technology has not really proliferated the Nigerian economic space. The ones that we have that has, you know, proliferated the Nigerian or the African or the third or the emerging economic space are the ones that were being sold by the developed countries. So if we are going to go that direction, it means that we will be neglecting what we already have at hand to aid and enable our own process of development, which was the same process that was adopted by the first world countries until they got to this peak of development and industrialization. And so are we then going to go in line with that trajectory? So it's a tough sale. It's a Herculean task for Mr. Wale Edun.
I would even want to ask, do you think that developing countries can realistically achieve debt sustainability? If you look at Ghana, let's not even talk about Nigeria and some other African countries, they are really struggling with debt. Do you think we can actually achieve? Do you think Wale is in a better position to maybe advocate for maybe fairer, what I call it, waivers?
Conditions.
Conditions. Yes.
Well, it should, because it has been started with that responsibility. It needs to push. It needs to push for, because it won't be taking a unilateral position with this. It's going to be sitting down, having meetings with the group heads of the World Bank, the multilateral financial organization, the countries that constitute the G-24, the countries also that constitute the G-77, and of course the finance ministers of most of these countries are going to come together, and they are not just thinking for their individual countries, but they are thinking as a group, as a bloc in the international system, not only to bring respite to their economies, but also to facilitate intergovernmental relations that promote economic activities and industrialization. And I tell you, those of the G77 and those of the G24 are not completely the same with those of the first world countries. However, the developed economies themselves, which is known as the G7, the position that they play is not to contradict, is not to put down those the developing economies, but it is to maintain a counterbalance, to shine, to allow them to develop. However, your first objective, line of core, is the protection of the interest of your country, the economic interest of your country, then secondly, the economic interest of your bloc.
Yes.
And probably maybe first, and maybe secondly, the economic interest of, yes, your economic bloc and those who you are in alignment with. So those are things that Wale Edun will be looking at. And it is a laudable position, but the task is enormous.
The task is enormous, you say, because a whole lot is in play right now, and I'm looking at how best we can also push something and get something back in terms of global trade. But we also have to look at Africa. What do we have? What do you think countries can trade amongst themselves? I mean, Africa, then globally.
Okay, look at it. If we're looking at Africa, Africa has not come to that place. They've come to the place, but they are divided. They are divided by not only ideological differences, they are also divided by the influence that the world powers,
global powers,
the global powers have on each African countries. They are also divided by the leadership of each countries and their own perspective of running the government and their own economic policies and what they hope to achieve. If you look at it in a very different perspective, the influence that China has on Nigeria, the influence that China has in South Africa, the influence that China wields in many African countries after building seaports for more than 20 or 50 African countries, you can see the economic interest and the economic influence and power that he wields. Most of these African economies, China has advanced loans to them. And China has also made other economic diplomatic policies that will keep these African countries endeared to them. Like, hey, our economies and our borders are open for your products and your produce, and whatever you think, meets the condition and the standard of export to China, while those are open to receive it. China has gone into economic ties and economic agreement with some African countries that, look, we have a currency swap. You come to my country to want to buy goods, you don't need to change it to the dollar.
Yes.
You can change it to my currency and purchase what you want. I come to your country, I don't need to change my money to the dollar before I can have access to your market. I change it to your currency. In that way, we do away with the dollar and we facilitate economic and business activities between both of us as a country. And that is a juicy package for most of the emerging economies. Nigeria also playing that role. And China is enjoying the same benefit, if not more. China has infiltrated the African market to the extent that it knows that the only way it can come to global, not just, it's already a global power. Before now, it's been already a global power. That's why it's part of the Big Five in the United Nations. But in order to sustain it, it needs to strengthen its relationship with different countries, most especially most countries that are in the categories of emerging economy. So if we're going to be making decisions that, African countries, we're coming together.
Yes.
Now we need to make economic decisions that will profit us as a country.
Definitely.
South Africa is a huge manufacturer of vehicles. How many African governments, when trying to buy fleets of cars for your government officials,
yes,
after every elective period, election year, or government tenure in office, how many of you patronize those cars that were being manufactured in South Africa?
Or even in Nigeria.
Okay, most times they don't even patronize those we manufacture in our country. They go to China, they go to Germany, they go to the United States,
Canada.
They go to Canada. Okay, why do they do that? And we are talking about, these are huge economic flights, because when we look at the amount, you can look at, by the time the money is converted to Naira, some of the cars go for as much as 80 million plus, 90 million plus, 100 million plus, because most of these cars are bulletproof fitted,
yes,
to protect the VVIPs and government officials. So, and buying in fleets to the extent of hundreds, 360, 150. Imagine 150 million naira in 150 or 360 places. How much that is. That is a huge capital flight away from the African economy and away from the country, first of all, then away from the continent of Africa. So if you cannot patronize, probably we do not have car manufacturing, or those who are manufacturing cars domestically here, maybe they are not doing bulletproof fitted vehicles at the moment. Or even if they are, the government is way influenced by those other people. So that's a huge influence. So whatever economic battle, score, whatever economic diplomacy by way of policies that Mr. Wale Edun is going to have to settle out there to facilitate smooth relationship, not only among the G77 and the G24, but also between the G24 and its own allies, you know, in the first world countries. We need to come to that place where we can put our foot on the ground and take some bold economic action.
Yes.
And I think we took one recently, which though I considered quite immature, I mean, not immature, premature. I consider premature, but we took it. And it's ringing a bell. And it is one of those things that, you know, portrays the chief executive as not just a leader, but quite intelligent leader in making bold economic decisions. So Wale Edun will need to amplify this out there, because in his engagement, he'll be engaging with heads of
global
states
leaders
and global leaders.
Yes.
And not only the engagement, understanding the economic politics and understanding the politics of business in the international space and understanding the business of politics in the international space and using that advantage to benefit the G24, the G77, and of course, primarily Nigeria.
Well, like they say, to whom much is given, much is expected. So we'll move on to the next story on SOUQ Business Landscape. Yes, we'll go on a short break, and when we come back, we'll continue with the program.
Take Nigeria, because it's the mind that needs to first of all be rebranded.
Deepens said he's going to be putting Nigerian labor, Nigeria content and materials first.
If you say Nigeria first and it is just us down here that, you know, are pushing that agenda, it's going to be a big struggle.
Do you think Nigerian firms, Nigerian organizations should start looking at getting their staff involved in this market or buying to keep for their staff?
Within this side, let's also learn citizen diplomacy. See something. This is SOUQ Business Landscape.
Fellow Nigerians, did you know that constituency and executive projects in your communities are not gifts from your legislators? They are projects sponsored by the legislators and funded by the federal government to improve your life and the lives of those around you. These projects belong to you. Without your vigilance, they might never be completed. Don't allow them to fade away into unfulfilled promises. Stand up, take ownership, monitor their progress, demand accountability, and report concerns to ICPC. Call our toll-free line now on 0800-2255-4272 or WhatsApp only on 0806-656-4726. This message is brought to you by the Independent Corrupt Practices and Other Related Offences Commission, ICPC, with support from MacArthur Foundation and the Center for Democracy and Development in Africa, CDD.
Welcome to Cashcraft, where we uncover the gold in every enterprise. Today, we explore a buzzing opportunity that is sweet, sustainable, and seriously profitable: beekeeping and honey production. Nigeria's honey demand is rising, but supply still falls short, creating a lucrative gap in the market. Beekeeping is a low-capital agribusiness with high returns, especially when done organically. From honey to beeswax, propolis to royal jelly, every part of the hive has commercial value. Imagine this: low startup, high yield. A beginner-friendly venture with starter kits costing 50,000 naira to 150,000 naira and profit margins above 60% after the first harvest. That is very possible. Also, are you thinking climate advantage? Natural tropical vegetation and long flowering seasons make it ideal for beekeeping almost year-round. So you know that's a good business to venture into. Now let's look at health and organic market boom. Natural unadulterated honey is in high demand. This demand kept increasing on a daily basis, not just locally, but across West Africa and international markets. And it is used for different purposes, from health to skincare, culinary, and more. You may need further research, professional advice to understand exactly what I am talking about. Now, value chain potential. Processing and packaging honey, producing beeswax candles, selling hives, or even offering training is the way to go. Do not miss out. Just so you know, this is a climate-smart, gender-inclusive business that doesn't require owning a land or intensive labor. Here is how to take advantage. Start small with training and support. Enroll in the basic beekeeping course. Many NGOs, agricultural institutions, and cooperatives offer short-term hands-on training. Join a cooperative to access shared equipment, farmland, and easier entry into the market. Invest in starter kits. Begin with 1 or 2 hives. Starter kits typically include protective gear.
Think like that because it's the mind that needs to first of all be rebranded.
It said he's going to be putting Nigerian labor, Nigeria content and materials first.
If you say Nigeria first and it is just us down here that, you know, are pushing that agenda, it's going to be a big struggle.
Do you think Nigerian firms, Nigerian organizations should start looking at getting their staff involved in this market or buying to keep for their staff?
Within this side, let's also learn citizen diplomacy. See something. This is SOUQ business landscape.
Welcome back to SOUQ Business Landscape. Yes, Amin Mokhtar also joins us virtually this morning. So glad to have you, Mokhtar Amin.
Thank you, sir.
You're welcome. What's the latest on Trump these days?
Trump has threatened to cut funding for the New York City because his favorite candidate did not win the recent election over the weekend.
Wow, very much like Trump. All right, so let's quickly take the second story. Nigerians are finding it increasingly difficult to afford higher electricity tariffs due to rising inflation, unemployment, and weakening purchasing power. The managing director of the Nigerian Independent System Operator, NISO, Abdul Bello Hamed, has said, speaking at the 5th annual conference of the Power Correspondents Association of Nigeria in Abuja, Mohammed noted that millions of citizens remained trapped in energy poverty despite being connected to the national grid. He warned that economic hardship has severely limited household cost ability to access sufficient power for daily use and income-generating activities. He stressed that ongoing debate on electricity pricing must remain at the heart of discussions on Nigeria's power sector reform. Now, according to him, affordability is key to achieving a sustainable electricity market, as higher tariffs without improved service or economic relief risk worsening the energy access gap for vulnerable Nigerians. Now, I think we find ourselves in a dilemma. The discos, they are barely trying to stay above water with debt, trying to do so many things, and also stay in business. Thereby also, the citizens who are actually the end users are also finding it hard to afford electricity. We're not even talking stable power this time around, we're just talking affordable electricity with the whole band metering thing. What's your thoughts on this?
Okay, first of all, the affordability of electricity. If electricity cannot be afforded, and used by people at the grassroots and businesses, it's going to, there's no social equity. The purchasing power of Nigerians will not only deplete, it will decline, drastically. The cost of manufacturing will rise, and the cost of doing business or the ease of doing business will be, as if it is defeated. And of course, startups and entrepreneurial hubs that depend on electricity for their businesses will almost go moribund. And this is not something that we should tolerate, because the price of electricity, like you say, I know you complain most of it all the time, that for the month, before the month ends or at the end of the month, you've spent more than 50,000 naira for electricity. What do you have in your house? Are you baking bread?
I've asked myself so many times.
Are you baking bread? Why? And the average salary for the minimum wage is 77,000.
70,000. 70,000.
Okay, so why, if people have their meters and it's only the electricity that they can afford, they will be able to use. So if they have exhausted it, even if there is power, they will not have if they have exhausted it.
Yes.
Why do we need to segregate to band A, band B, band C, and all of that? Why do we need to do that?
Hold that thought. Let me come to you, Mukhtar Amin. Electricity pricing and inflation. How do we balance this?
I think we all know how we got here. The inflation in electricity happened because of the needed investments in that sector. So I don't want to bore us with that detail, but I want to bring our attention to something. The increase in the value of naira and the reduction in the price of gas that is used in the generation of electricity is not cost reflective in the prices of electricity. That is my worry. So we all know natural gas is used in generating electricity, and the prices has been reducing because of our increased investment and production in that sector, one, and the reduction, the increase in the value of naira, because natural gas is priced in international USD. So if naira is increasing in value, then the prices of natural gas should naturally come down too. But we are not seeing this reflective in the costing. So I don't know if we need to talk to consumer protection to look into this, because everything is connected. So if we are making gains in some sectors, it should reflect. And that is why we should be celebrating if naira is gaining value. If not, it's just a piece of data that does not affect our life. I don't understand why we should be happy if dollar is now almost 1,300 when it used to be 2,000, and all the components that affect our life that affect USD remain stagnant. I don't know if you are following me. So yes. Consumer protection needs to look into this. Why is the price of natural gas reducing? Why is the value of naira increasing, but so many cost component of so many things and the prices of so many things remain the same?
All right, so I'd like to ask you another question. What policy interventions at this point could make tariffs more affordable without also bankrupting, disco companies?
What we can look at is the reason why we increased tariff in the first place is because we needed investments and we wanted investors to come in. So the federal government has deregulated this sector such that private sectors can come in and even the state governments can come in. So I think at this point, the policy we can adopt is for each state's government to come in, especially in the rural areas of the state. Because even if investors are coming in, investors will not invest in the rural areas. Investors will only invest in the major cities where return on investment is certain, is sure, where there is purchasing power. So it is time that we, wake the governors up, because they've been acting like this has nothing to do with them. And meanwhile, the Constitution has been amended to empower them to be able to intervene, to be able to invest in power. Power is no longer on the exclusive list. It's now a concurrent list, meaning the state government can invest, can build power plants, and when they are investing, and because state government is not a profit-making entity, they can now give like a form of consensus to people of certain classes. That is why I'm suggesting rural areas, because these are the most vulnerable people in a state. To now say, okay, we are investing and we don't want profit back. We just want to make this contribution as a social contribution to our people to elevate their life. And, and that can even develop the rural areas. Industries can move there to produce and, kind of like develop their rural areas, which is part of their primary objective as a state government.
All right, thank you very much, Murtala. Coming to you, Priye, can we start looking at decentralized generation and also renewable energy to bridge this gap?
Okay, so in bridging this gap, I think the state governors, since the deregulation and the reform that we've experienced in power, the state governors need to be more responsible in playing a role that, gives the impression that they are after, laying down economic blueprints for their states to not only generate huge or explore the areas in their economy or in their states that will bring huge IGR, but that will also provide job. And most times you don't really see this because there are lots of things in the states for them to explore. But they will tell you the monies that we have or the funds that we have at our disposal or that we expect to get from the Federation Accounts Allocation Committee at a monthly or whatever period they are going to be getting it from. They already made plans for it. And in their plans for it, power is not given priority. So you talked about building plants and electric. How much does that cost to build plants? Because for any governor or any leader of this at the subnational level that wants to look at the economic development of a state must be looking at industrialization.
Yes.
And the lifeblood of industrialization is power. Put power in place. Companies, manufacturing hubs, startups will come and set up businesses. And that will also facilitate, movement of people, because these are the assets on which organizations run. So if the cost to build a power plant varies significantly by type, it can be ranged approximately from $1 million to $2.5 million per megawatt.
Okay.
If that is the case for per megawatt, let's assume like 10 megawatt should be running to about $20 million, if not more, $25 million. We can, for a state not to have the capacity to afford a $25 million for 10 megawatt power plant, should have a rethink. Yes, what's your plan for the people? We cannot depend on the national grid anymore. And even if you can't do that, with the fund that you are getting from FAAC, and because you don't have sufficient fund by way of your very limited IGR that you are able to bring,
which that is also not directly your own fault, not...
Yeah, of course, it's the state's fault, because you're not just a political leader. as a political leader in the state, you're saddled to also, you're leading the people
Generate
economic.
income, yes.
You have to create the right ecosystem for the people and business and organizations to be able to thrive and in doing business. So if you can't do that, liaise with multinational organizations who have the financial capacity to come build and set this plant in place, and in a collaborative way, put out the blueprint on how you and on how the multinational organization and the government are going to run this asset and this facility to get back their own funds on investment and get back their profit, then probably leave it for the state to handle, to run. Looking at the number of years that we put in place. So any state government that is not thinking in line with this direction is irrespective, no matter how laudable its business plans are, it's not going to fly, to just be like a big elephant in the room, hoping it will have wings to fly. It's not going to fly. So if there's gold in Osun State, what does it take for those who are going to explore the gold, and what does it take to have a plant or a facility in place for these golds to be processed? If we have lithium in Kebbi State, if we have cobalt in your state, what sort of facilities do we need to have to put in place? For the government talked about the 30% addition. So what do they think that the federal government is talking about? These are policies. And if the state's economic policies or economic direction does not take advantage of the national government's economic policy, then I tell you, they are not taking advantage of what is very, very good to them. Niger State is taking advantage of the population in Lagos State and how this huge population are looking forward to feeding from bags of rice that will be coming from that state. And look at that, what that led to. So other states, what are you? Ogun State, contiguous to Lagos State. You're looking at, it is spreading. Lagos has spread to the extent that if we talk about housing, it has moved almost into Ogun State. So what is the Ogun State government doing about it? There are people who are illegally even occupying lands in those places too. So what is the Ogun State government doing? Does it have an economic master plan in place? Because if you look at from Ojudu Berger straight to Ibafo, and you look at that environment, if that place, if the Ogun State government does not have an economic master plan to set up that area and to get returns in taxation, then I don't think they are doing, well, in regards to development, they are doing the right thing and they are putting the right thing into consideration to do, because there are lots of factories in that place. But you know what, when you go into the interior, the roads are not motorable. And when the dam is opened, maybe up from Cameroon, and it comes down from the northern part of the country down to Lagos, you all know that that place is so flooded. We need to do a lot. In doing that, the government needs to come there and look at the economic value of whatever facility or whatever infrastructure is going to build in that place, so as to enhance not only living, but also make the environment attractive for companies and people to move in from Lagos, because Lagos has really expanded. So what is the economic master plan of most of the subnationals? They need to target issues such as this.
All right, it's a whole lot for us to take in this morning, so we'll move on to the next story. The Senate has mandated the National Agency for Food and Drug Administration and Control, NAFDAC, and other relevant bodies to commence full enforcement of the ban on high-strength alcoholic beverages and sachets starting December 2025. This directive puts an end to ongoing speculation about possible extension of the phased-out timeline, as lawmakers resolve that no further grace period will be granted to the manufacturers. The decision follows the adoption of a motion sponsored by Senator Asuko Ekpenyong, calling for strict implementation of the phase-out. The ban is part of efforts to curb alcohol abuse, particularly among minors and vulnerable groups, due to the affordability and accessibility of sachet-packed liquor. Regulatory agencies are expected to collaborate to ensure the full withdrawal of such products from the market in line with public health goals and existing policy frameworks. This has been long coming. These alcohol companies, in order to make it more affordable, you have them in sachets for 100 naira, 200 naira. You have them at the local stores, the malams and the small kiosks around the neighborhood. And, a lot of people, patronize it for the affordability and just, take it. But now they're coming out to say that this December, because, yes, whether we like it or not, Dirty December is a time of celebration. So a whole lot of drinking, eating is going to be going on. And this phase has been on for a while. Now the lawmakers are saying, let's put an end to it by December. What's your thoughts on this, especially the manufacturers? Do you see some form of retaliation or fight back or anything?
The manufacturers, first of all, I don't want to even mention the names of the brands, but the manufacturers, used to, focus on the huge, big bottles.
Yes.
And how much they are sold, from 5,000 naira, 7,000, 10,000 naira. And for those who could not afford those ones, after the manufacturers and the brands have looked at the market very well, and they looked at the people that, feast on these brands and these alcohol brands, they looked at them very, very well. They felt, okay, we can make this very, very affordable. And it's not a new thing. Because if you look at, some time ago, we used to have only tin milks in circulation.
Yes.
Some time ago, we used to have the toothpaste that we used to have just the bigger ones only. And those ones, some households could not even afford it because of the price. But they want something that is very, very easily accessible and convenient, that anyone, including students who are going to campuses, can just afford. You're traveling briefly, you just need to get a soap and get your toothbrush, and you got a toothpaste, and it's in your bag, and you know that you remain fresh wherever you go. So the brands, of alcoholic brands, also copied it. Let's make it very, very accessible and convenient. So they resorted to that, and the market ballooned. It blew. Brands that had not taken that initiative before looked at their contemporaries, looked at their competitors, they've gone that direction, they also went that direction. And now the whole place is proliferated by this. And of course, we know the resultant effect. Alcohol abuse, minors, join the frame of things. And of course, the processes, because of the rapid turnover that some of these brands are not even certified by NAFDAC. And because of the rapid turnover that they have, they just, go ahead, use unhealthy means to produce them, to manufacture them. And it's beginning to have a toll. And if there's a research that came up some time ago that young men, it wasn't like that before in Nigeria, that young men in their 20s, and in their 30s, they are suffering from kidney disease, they are suffering from lung disease, and when they trace the issue, some of them were traced to some of these alcoholic brands that are not, well manufactured. And it got to the Senate, so they are telling them to go face it out. It had been on before, but doesn't look like it's abating. If you're leaving your home, your house as early as 6 a.m., 5:30, 5 a.m., you get to the bus stop, you're driving, you're seeing these women, you see those who sell these things, and they are also a go-to use by most commercial vehicle drivers.
All right, let's come to Mukhtar Amin. What are the health risks, social impact, and of course, economic impact of this ban, especially to manufacturers?
Left to me, the only thing reasonable about this ban is climate change. So if we are banning this sachet because we are trying to save the earth because of waste management and climate change, it makes a lot of sense. But if we are trying to solve underage drinking, alcohol abuse. This is not the way to go. I think government, again, is running away from enforcement. The problem we have in this country is we have laws, but the government does not have the political will to enforce the laws. 80% of our accidents is due to alcoholism. And up till now, does road safety have breathalyzers to test drivers on the road to see if they are drunk when they are driving, rather than just smelling their mouths? And if you drink, you take some methyl, you take cola nuts, nobody is gonna know if you are drunk or not. So if we keep losing lives to drunk drivers and we don't have mechanism to test if our drivers are drunk and there's no enforcement, I've never in this country seen where a policeman or a road safety officer is trying to see if a driver is drunk or not. It is in the advanced world now, drinking in public is now an offense. I don't know if that is part of our law. We don't have that. So even if, let me put it out straight to the government, I hope they are listening. If you sell alcohol, 100,000 naira, the people that are alcoholic, they will find a way to buy it. Maybe they will commit crime, they will find a way to buy it. So curing alcoholism or controlling alcohol abuse is not by phasing out the cheaper ones. It's by enforcing decent use of alcohol. It's by prosecuting businesses that are still selling to minors, by prosecuting adults that are drinking in public. I don't mean bars, I mean by the roadside. That is by the roadside where minors will see you and want to copy what you are doing. We have to protect them. And then by prosecuting drunk driving, that is what the government needs to do to protect the society and protect our lives. Because I put it to you, if branded alcohols stop being affordable, guess what? The government will not ban the Yalagbo at car parks and at every junction. People will start buying the local one, and there go the spike in kidney problem. Because I don't see any government in this country banning the local apps, the Agbo, in every bus stop and every car park in this country. So if you ban this sachet, that is, I'm putting it to you now, that is what people will start drinking. They will take the raw ethanol. We produce ethanol locally in this country. It's from cassava. Nigerians make it. So if you stop companies that you are supposed to regulate by making sure their product is safe, and you give them number, and you think the way to go is to phase out the sachet, the problem is not going to solve. It is just, we need to enforce our laws. It is only in this country that NAFDAC is confiscating products that run into billion every year. And you know why that is happening? Because you are not enforcing the perpetrators. So the only thing they lose is the products that you seize. So people continue to produce. These products are killing people. Prosecute these people like killers, like terrorists, and then it's going to stop. Why waste money going into markets, risking people's life to go after products when you can go after the manufacturers? By the time you get 1, 2, 3 scapegoats, this thing is going to stop. The government needs to learn and have the will, the political will to enforce our laws, to try people to the full extent of the law, the people that take lives of Nigerians for granted and just feed us anything that takes our life or damage our health.
All right, thank you very much, Mokhtar. So away from enforcement and prosecution, what public education should accompany the enforcement to make it more effective?
I feel like we have been doing enlightenment and education. Maybe we need to do more. On every alcohol advert, you see, don't drink if you're younger than 18, if you're a minor, if you're pregnant, don't take alcohol. You know, they even enforce the alcohol manufacturers to do this form of education. And the National Orientation Agency, you know, they have some form of investment in education. But education without enforcement is not enough. It's not enough. If we go to every major road in this country, we see young people during school hour on the streets. Our laws does not permit that, but nobody is enforcing it, and it becomes a norm. When foreigners come to these countries, they see us as barbarians. When they see 8, 10 years old on a Monday morning that's not public holiday on the streets trading. We have laws in this country. So beyond alcohol, our government needs to enforce these laws. I don't even know if average policeman know some of these basic laws that needs to be enforced. We just need to enforce. You know, banning this sachet, like I said, if this is in compliance with climate change, I totally understand. But I don't think this is how to curb alcoholism in the society. Okay. I don't see it.
Thank you very much, Mukhtar.
Yeah, so one other thing that NAFDAC needs to do, because I in the World Federation, 36 states and the Federal Capital Territory, will begin to look if NAFDAC has the personnel and the capacity to be able to cover it. And if NAFDAC does not have that, the relevant agencies at the subnational level we equally need to, there need to be institutional synergy between NAFDAC and these institutions at the subnational level to tackle this, on what Mr. Amin is talking about. Because when you talk to these people, the local government has been saddled with that responsibility to even regulate where these things should be sold. Yes. And not only for the purpose of regulation, but for effective local taxation laws. Because the local governments are going to impose taxes to the bars and the stores that are going to be selling this alcohol. And the other thing is, you do not just start selling alcohol. You need to go to the local government to get a license to sell this.
To sell it, okay?
So if these people that are selling are not going to the local government or the relevant authorities to have the permit to be able to sell, and they just jump into the business, that's actually the root cause of where it's starting from. So you have proliferation all across, and the government, with the limited manpower it has to regulate a burgeoning society, will not be able to curb the spread of it. And even agencies or organizations that are manufacturing these things using, not going through the healthy way of the healthy process and procedures for manufacturing this. You know, you need to go to NAFDAC to get that. And even if you have a product that you've manufactured and they are new, they are locally brewed, using all the local herbs in these things, and some of them can be very, very good, but you need to go through NAFDAC that is going to carry out a laboratory test on it before telling you to go ahead or not to go ahead. And most of the times, they don't do that. They just go ahead and start selling. So regulation, the thing about regulation has become almost, it's as if it is defeated at the grassroots level. Now, the other thing that you asked Mukhtar about awareness, about education. You mentioned, yes, the National Orientation Agency. Yes. It looks as if it's almost going into extinction. That organization.
But, you know, sorry to cut you short. If you look at a lot of adverts and drinks, it's always written there, drink responsibly.
Oh, really? And do you think they're just going to look at that and just look at the cigarette packs?
Yes.
What it is written there. And some of the cigarette packs, there are very scary images that you have there. What does it suggest? That, look, you continue smoking this, it might resort to this. Yes. So be careful. Does it deter people from smoking it? No. So they have carried out what they need to do. So when I was in secondary school, we were taking, I think maybe it was a government agency, they came visiting. We we went to a school, about 5, 6 schools converged, and including the senior prefects of those schools, secondary schools, and a government agency came and they put out all the drugs, including cigarettes, so many drugs, cannabis out there, and they were telling us the effect of this if you continue to engage in this, and they were giving the awareness. Sometimes civil organizations, civil society organizations equally come and carry out this awareness program.
Yes.
The local government, the civil society organizations, and also the government at the state level, maybe the Ministry of Communication or the Ministry of Public Information, at the subnational level, need to also liaise with local government, liaise with NAFDAC, also liaise with the National Orientation Agency to make sure that this awareness is created at the grassroots level of society, because we don't do that more often. And that is where it has brought us to this level. Like you said, some of them are very, very good herbs to be taken. But you know what?
Coming to that herbs, how do we regulate it? Now, we're talking about the ones that are packaged. What about the ones that are not packaged? The ones that are the roadsides and the garages, and they mix concoctions in different volumes with ethanol, raw ethanol, and people just consume, and you go to the woman and you tell her your back is paining you or this or that, and she mixes something that you have no idea.
I tell you, the officials in NAFDAC have no idea of what that woman is mixing. But if you look at this local women, some of them are quite knowledgeable on what those herbs can do and which one can be mixed with this, that, and the other to cure the back pain, to cure the headache, to cure the malaria, to cure the fever, and all of that. And that is good. But when you mix ethanol and alcohol, you have gone into a different terrain. Now, even if they have the knowledge of this, is NAFDAC aware? Because NAFDAC is the regulatory authority.
Yes.
So NAFDAC equally needs to regulate, yes, that woman down there.
Yes.
So if NAFDAC is not going to regulate, and we have the Board of Herbal Medicine in Nigeria, they are going to carry out regulatory activities in collaboration with NAFDAC. So have we seen that level of collaboration? Because there are economic benefits, there are health benefits as well. And you know, these two benefits, you know, says a lot about the health of a nation.
All right, let's take one more story if we can. The next story, the Nigerian Customs Service has denied allegations of secretly auctioning seized containers and vehicles to cronies without following due process. This comes after internal documents surfaced, allegedly showing direct allocations of valuable goods to select private firms. The documents obtained, according to a correspondent, include letters titled Direct Auction Allocation of Containers, signed by H. Hardison, Controller Special Duties. Now, these letters, dated between April and July 2025, were issued under the seal of Customs Committee on Direct Disposal of General Goods. They reportedly authorized allocations of 40 food containers loaded with vehicles, prefabricated buildings, tiles, hospital equipment, and other items at auction fees of 1 million naira, 2 million naira. Customs, however, dismissed the report as misleading, insisting all disposal processes are guided by law, transparency, and oversight. The agency promised to investigate any abuse while reaffirming its commitment to accountability in public asset disposal. So many times, you know, people say if you want to get the best cars or get something, when customs do these auctions, you get good cars and all that. And people like to patronize auctions like this, especially coming from the customs. And we've also heard so many allegations that they sell these things amongst themselves and their cronies. But now customs is coming out to say that, you know, it's untrue. It's not true. But I think they should also go further to investigate, because yes, we always say this, there are bad eggs. Customs, they are doing a whole lot, you know, in trying to read so many things out. But yes, we cannot deny the fact that we still have bad eggs among us. What do you think?
Okay, first of all, it says a lot about institutional credibility. For the fact that the customs went out and whichever means they were able to get these cars, vehicles, and the properties that were seized, some of them must have been, you know, they tried to bringing these vehicles or whatever properties through the borders, not following the due process.
Yes.
Others would have meant that they got these goods without paying the normal duties to the customs service. And others must have been things that the government must have known banned from coming into the country. Yes. And some importers still went ahead to import it, and they were confiscated. Yes. And they need to be sold. And on the investigation from the source, they were telling us that there was a direct disposal of these goods, but it got to the hands of some specific organizations. Was it made public? And if it was not made public, if it was not gazetted, if there was no publication or advert to that effect, how did you select the people that or the organization that came to purchase these items and these assets? And if it does not, because I think there are laid out rules for the customs to do this, to dispose these assets. And if those rules are not followed, these goods were getting through corrupt means or flouted regulations. That is why the custom have the right to seize them. Now, the custom must not imbibe corrupt means in disposing these goods, because if they went through that route, then they're not different from those who corruptly acquired these goods in the first place. So we need, just the way we need police to, as the police police the people, we need the police to police the police. And we also need the police to police the customs in this area. Now, when I'm talking about police, I'm not talking about the institution of the police. Like, we need an extra eye, the ICPC and the EFCC. They need to be aware when the customs wants to dispose these things. So just the way you have INEC coming to political parties when they want to conduct primaries, political parties primaries, so that they can make sure that the rules are followed in picking members, the political leaders at the party level. So we need to have the ICPC and the EFCC, in the know, and to also in a collaborative way, monitor the process where the customs dispose these items. Because if there is no external institutional monitoring, then that gives room to flout it, and corruption continues unabated.
Let's come to you, Mokhtar Amin. How credible, first of all, is customs denial, given recurring allegations like this? Also, what mechanisms should exist to ensure accountability? Because sometimes when even they follow due process to do these auctions, most people are not really aware. You only hear of it after it has happened. What's your thought on this?
News like this just shows how irrelevant ICPC has become. Because in situations like this, we are supposed to hear from ICPC, and their information should be reliable. But you and I know that even if ICPC issue a statement, average Nigerians will not believe or listen to them. And this has been going on for so long, and I have it on credible authority that 5 out of 10 custom officers have somebody in their domestic house selling rice and some of the contraband that the contraband goods on the list of the contraband. Yes. They have their family members selling frozen turkey, family members selling rice especially. I have it on good authority. And Nigerians, we know, because we have them as neighbors. We have them in our neighborhood. And we know that this selling rice, the father or the husband is a custom officer. And we know the source of their inventory. We know that in this country. The same goes with cars. We know that you have to be connected to custom to be able to buy auctioned vehicles. We know that too in this country. Everybody knows. So beyond headline, our headline is just headline. Nigerians know what is going on, and it's unfortunate that we cannot even rely on ICPC statements. And this, you cannot beat the judge and jury in your own case. So if your integrity has been brought to test in the public, you are not supposed to be the one issuing statements. That is why we have ICPC, and that is why it's being run by tax naira. So ICPC is supposed to come out investigate and give us a full report. But how credible is ICPC itself? How credible? When last did we see ICPC see any case of corruption to a logical conclusion in this country? Every part of the public service that you look at is so much corruption, and there's no closure for the Nigerian people. And you continue to tax us to run these agencies. So ICPC needs to do better. Custom needs to do better. If this is going to be wrong, maybe under this new leadership of custom, it's okay to give them the benefit of doubt. But everybody in this country know that is how customs operate. They make it difficult for people to get their goods out. The penalty of seized goods is too much. It's crazy. If you see importers, you talk to them, the penalty increases every 24 hours. And it's so much. It's almost like it's a trap, like they don't want them to get their goods out.
Sorry to cut you short. Just one more question. Do you think that there should be an independent oversight of customs auction processes?
Yes, like the one we see with EFCC. They are auctioneers, they are private auctioneers, even in advanced countries. Public companies, the police, whoever is seizing anything, do not auction goods directly. You do it through a private, independent auctioneer that do that. So they do that, they get their commission, and they remit the money to the government. Custom has no duty selling anything. That is not their job. Their job is to enforce the law. And auctioning, that is why they are professional, independent auctioneers. That is their own job. So custom cannot be doing somebody else's job. Let anything that is seized, that has passed the timeline, pass to private auctioneers and be advertised to the public. You and I, everybody should know. In New York, for example, now, if you go to the police website, you will see all the dates that auctions are going to be done for the rest of the year. You see the date, you see the location. All you need to do, you don't even need to register. All you need to do is go there and hold your money, and they say this Corolla is going for $2,000. And you raise up your hand if you have it and you want to buy it. It's not any secret. For the rest of this year, it's on their website, all the dates. Monday, this location. Tuesday, this location. Go there. But in Nigeria, it's almost like the information is for some selected few. And then, like you said, you get to know about it many weeks after it's been done.
Thank you very much, Mokhtar Amin. We've exhausted our time. Thank you for joining us on SOUQ Business Landscape. Enjoy the rest of your day.
You too, sir. Thank you. Have a good weekend, sir.
You too, Mokhtar. Yeah.
Yes.
That's
beautiful thing he said there. All you have to do is go on their website and you see all the auction dates.
You want to go up to the issue about e-governance again?
Let's not go there.
Let's not even go there, but I think they get the message. They got the message. Well,
yes, so this is where we'll wrap up this week's edition of SOUQ Business Landscape. From global economic shifts to Nigeria's energy and fiscal reforms, innovations, and trade diplomacy shaping the markets ahead. As always, the business of tomorrow starts with the choices made today. Join us next week for more insights into the policies, the players, and the progress driving Africa's economic future. I am Olumide Shukoya.
I am Oyin Priya Krumale. Good morning.
Take Nigeria because it's the mind that needs to first of all be rebranded.
It said it's going to be putting Nigerian labor, Nigeria content and materials first.
If you say Nigeria first and it is just us down here that, are pushing that agenda, it's going to be a big struggle.
Do you think Nigerian firms, Nigerian organizations should start looking at getting their staff involved in this market or buying to keep for their staff?
Within this side, let's also learn citizen diplomacy. See something. This is SOUQ Business Landscape.
Fellow Nigerians, Did you know that constituency and executive projects in your communities are not gifts from your legislators? They are projects sponsored by the legislators and funded by the federal government to improve your life and the lives of those around you. These projects belong to you. Without your vigilance, they might never be completed. Don't allow them to fade away into unfulfilled promises. Stand up, take ownership, monitor their progress, demand accountability, and report concerns to ICPC. Call our toll-free line now on 0800-2255-4272 or WhatsApp only on 0806-656-4726. This message is brought to you by the Independent Corrupt Practices and Other Related Offences Commission, ICPC, with support from MacArthur Foundation and the Center for Democracy and Development in Africa, CDD.
The National Assembly, in collaboration with the African Development Studies Center, ADSC, held a 5-day national capacity building workshop on treaties, agreements, and protocols for federal MDAs, with the theme, Enhancing Institutional Capacity for Effective Treaty Negotiation, Implementation, and Oversight in Nigeria. Honorable Barrister Rabiu Yusuf, Chairman of the House Committee on Treaties, Protocols, and Agreements in the 10th Assembly, highlighted the importance of strengthening the skills of key government officials in treaty processes.
At this particular moment of our country, we need a situation whereby all the stakeholders involved in external engagement with other countries, particularly state and the federal governments, and mostly MDAs of the at national level, to ensure that they are aware, they know what it takes, they know how it will be, and they know what it takes to ensure the institutionalized democracy and the legal approach as far as ratification, engagement, domestication of treaties. That is why the 10th National Assembly, under the able leadership of the Right Honorable Speaker Tajuddin Abbas, mandated our committee, pursuant to Section 12, Sub 2 of the Constitution, that we should reach out to all necessary stakeholders who are personally stakeholders on this engagement to ensure they know how it takes and they know how to execute it. Basically, that is the reason we are conducting this exercise.
Actually, I think there is no point for me to deliver my remark at this time, because I'm very much aware that my remarks have been delivered yesterday in distinction. So in either words, I will just say I really sincerely appreciate your presence in this program, and I believe it will go far in helping the system, stimulating the system, and work for the Nigerian progress. So I wish you a fruitful discussion and a successful outcome. Thank you very much.
The major challenge, everybody is going silo, in the sense that we are not trying to bring ourselves into the same table to ensure that before you find any entity, be it state, local governments, or federal entity, as far as engagement is concerned with other outside worlds, you need to know there are provisions of the Constitution which you need to comply. Failure to comply with that provision of the Constitution, whatever you do, it will go to a nullity, invalid, and is inconsistent with the provisions of the Constitution. And to the extent of that inconsistency, it is null and void and of no effect whatsoever. So we're trying to avoid this scenario whereby at national level or at international fora, Nigeria will be embarrassed because the stakeholders, the principal actors, they didn't even know what they are doing. So that is why we decided at this particular moment it is rife and necessary to ensure that we engage with unnecessary stakeholders. That is the basic reasons for engaging these activities. Actually, I recommend their effort to any other entity because if you can see, most of them, they are legal luminaries. They know their audience, they know what they are doing. So I really appreciate, they did a very wonderful job. And I sincerely appreciate. That's the main reason that I say I need to be here in Lagos, at least to supervise the happening in Lagos, and I'm impressed. Engagement with outside world, it is two ways. It is going to be either bilateral or multilateral. So with this kind of workshop, or with this kind of discourse, we believe the principal actors will now know what it takes to enter a treaty. And if they comply with what they are taught in this session, if they advise their principal when they go back to their respective MDA on the right way to go, I believe most of the treaties will be legally binding in Nigeria, provided they follow the procedure laid down by the Constitution. The future is bright. And the future, we will ensure in the future that all the treaties, all the agreements, all the international protocols have been observed to the latter, have been protected and imposed as it is enshrined in the Constitution. And with this kind of workshop, we believe we will create a series of avenues whereby we will engage other parties, other necessary stakeholders. We just set the ball rolling and we will be there, inshallah.
Also sharing insights on the workshop, the clerk of the House Committee on Treaties, Protocols and Agreements discussed the value of the training in improving the understanding and application of international agreements across MDAs. He noted that the engagement served as an eye-opener, equipping participants with tools for more effective negotiation and oversight.
I'm a Nigerian, I'm a citizen of Nigeria, and I want Nigeria to benefit from its interaction with international community, and it starts from things like this. For us to be able to interact well, we need to know what it entails to engage in the international community. When we are talking about treaties, what does it entail to enter into treaties? How do we do that? How do we negotiate? How do we implement? How do we oversight as a parliament? So it is my duty as a clerk of the committee to advise the chairman and the committee members on how to go on all these issues. And also very instrumental to the organization of this workshop today. Our partners, the facilitators, are very, very excellent. We appreciate them. And it's also a collaborative effort between us and them. And so far, so good. What we have ensured so far has been fantastic. The participants are very, very impressed. I myself am impressed. And I also there are some things I am taking home. For instance, now, Nigerians used to think before that our negotiators who negotiate treaties will just go abroad, go on tea party, shopping, but it's not the case. By what I'm seeing here now, I can see experts, technocrats who know their honors, who take the bull by the horn and do what's supposed to do. That one has been established. Even our facilitators can attest to that as well. Another thing is that the quality of ideas being shown and being given us here is very, very apt to our situation presently, so that we can apply in our situation in Nigeria. And going forward, if this lesson continues, it's going to impact a lot, because the MDs, many of the MDs are here, even state governments, like Kogi State Government is here, the SSG is here, the Attorney General of Plateau State was also here, and also some top directors in the federal MDA. They are here. So it's a high-class, high-level engagement workshop. We are in a political environment. I must tell you that. But we, technocrats are supposed to be the advisors and movers of policies. So they don't need to bend. They need to stick to the rule. And also to advise our government, our leaders, that as well as they are making policies, they should also consider the benefits, the interest of the country, not just politics. They should not play politics with it. They should consider the interest of the country first, and also the people. It's an appeal that everybody that has a responsibility to do, either in the public service, or in private sector, in government, do your responsibility as much as you can, in a good faith, in sincerity. Don't put your personal interests above national interests.
Ladies and gentlemen, good afternoon. It is my pleasure to be here to make a closing remarks for and on behalf of His Excellency, the Right Honorable Speaker, 10th National Assembly, Right Honorable Tajuddin Abbas. He has mandated me to deliver this goodwill closing remarks. We appreciate your time, your dedication, and your efforts in trying to attend this program and attentively pay attention to the discourse and the further issue being deliberated here. And it is believed that this message you have learned here, or what you have learned here, will be passed towards your chief executive officers, and at the same time you will guide them achieving the necessary mandates in deciding issues of treaties, population of treaties, and what have you. So at this juncture, on behalf of the Right Honorable Speaker, we wish you a safe return to your various destinations, and we believe you will pass the message to all others necessary stakeholders. Thank you very much.
Nigeria, rich in traditional and cultural heritage, is intentional about promoting history and retaining cultural values. The country has succeeded in preserving its identities and that of the forefathers for ages through folklores, folk tales, traditional ceremonies, community-based initiatives, cuisine, and most notably, museums and cultural centers. These institutions serve as invaluable repositories of history, ensuring that future generations remain connected to their roots and appreciate the diverse cultural tapestry of the nation. In Nigeria, there are over 38 museums comprising national, state, and privately owned institutions scattered across the country. Each of these museums plays a crucial role in safeguarding Nigeria's vast historical wealth, with collections that reflect the uniqueness of different ethnic groups, traditional practices, and historical transitions over time. In Lagos, the National Museum, located at the center of the city in Onikon, claims a notable collection of Nigerian art, including pieces of statuary, carvings, archaeological and ethnographical exhibits, among others. Of particular significance is the terracotta human head, known as Jema head, dated between 900 and 200 BC, which is part of the renowned Nok culture. The piece is named after Jema, the village where it was discovered. The museum is administered by the National Commission for Museums and Monuments and remain a key educational and historical attractions for visitors. Another prominent artifact housed within the museum is the famous Benin bronze head, an evidence to the artistic excellence of the Benin Kingdom.
The museum has a lot of functions, some of which are to educate, to entertain, research, interpretation, conservation and preservation of our cultural heritage. And the museum was established, Lagos Museum particularly, was established in 1957. It was formerly referred to as Department of Antiquities. So, well, the journey so far has been interesting because, you know, we are here, you know, to showcase our cultural heritage, not just to the country, but to the world. And we've had, you know, we have series of, you know, events that we do, you know, that involve the community. And because of that, we create that awareness that this is where you can come and, you know, see and feel your cultural heritage, your traditions, your history. Because it is said that a people without a history is a people without identity. So the museum portrays this to the people. And over the years, that is what we've been doing. Through education, community participation, you know, we have galleries, you know, that we display some of our objects, our antiquities, that showcase our patrimony and all there is to know about our cultural inheritance. And so the museum, you know, has been doing that over the years, and, you know, we still keep doing more.
The Lagos National Museum was founded in July 1957 by English archaeologist Kenneth Murray, following the submission of architectural sketch in 1948 at a conference on museum policy in Nigeria. Kenneth Murray collected several traditional masks from Cross River State to display in the museum's early years, according to historical records. The primary purpose of structuring the museum was to preserve Nigeria's historical artifacts and cultural heritage. Fortunately, that vision has remained alive to this day. The museum serves as a significant tourist attraction for Lagos residents and international visitors alike, offering an immersive glimpse into the nation's past. Some of the remarkable artifacts currently on display at the museum include the bullet-ridden car in which former Nigerian head of state, General Murtala Mohammed, was assassinated, pictures of previous rulers and presidents of Nigeria from different eras, a diverse collection of cultural drums, tools, and ceremonial staffs from various ethnic groups, historical crowns and caps of revered traditional rulers symbolizing their power and authority, photographs of Queen Elizabeth II and her entourage during her visit to Nigeria, reflecting moments of colonial history.
It's so immense. Museum is a reminder of what the society is all about, because a number of us are missing the link. We don't even know the role, the significance of the society we find ourselves because of foreign influence. But when you come to museum, it will bring your mind back to the original habitat, the way of life of people, how things should be seen in the society, and how we should react to phenomenal changes in our environment. Basically, we'll be doing this work of educating the general public, not only Nigerians, over 20-something years here, and the impact has been so tremendous, to the point that what we do at the museum is in consonance with the curriculum of our institutions, from primary, nursery, primary, secondary, even tertiary, even people in their corporate organization. They deem me free to come to National Museum anytime they feel like we are missing the link, we have missed a lot of things concerning the way of life of our forefathers. You know, even here, apart from that, we do have what is called seminar. We organize seminar for expatriates, for individuals to come around on Wednesdays, to come and listen and learn on cultural-based subjects.
I think it was great. I mean, I particularly like the circle of life that it presented in here, right? From birth to reincarnation to external influences. I think it gave a good history of Nigeria. I learned a lot about that. There seems to be some real big connection between Nigeria and Benin in terms of the history that I wasn't totally aware of. I was able to see the different artifacts and stuff that were presented. So it was quite interesting. They did, I think, a pretty good job doing a comprehensive tour or comprehensive history of Nigeria and its culture and its surrounding areas.
A visit to the Lagos National Museum offers an enriching experience, transporting visitors back in time and allowing them to connect with Nigeria's rich and diverse history. The museum provides an opportunity to explore stories of resilience, artistry, and governance that have shaped the nation. Whether you are a history enthusiast, a student, or simply a curious traveler, stepping into this museum promises a nostalgic journey through Nigeria's past, fostering a deeper appreciation for its cultural legacy. Nigeria continues to reflect the stories that shapes its people, steadfast in its commitment to promoting history and preserving its cultural values for generations to come. Grace Komalafe, SOUQ Perspective.
Eko Atlantic has become Nigeria's most sought-after city for its high-end infrastructure, prestige, and well-planned city layout, as reflected in an 8-lane boulevard, about 13 internal bridges, underground cables, and green footprints defined by over 30,000 trees. Additionally, having a building in the city has become a trend among the so-called big boys, as was the case with Old Ikoyi, Victoria Garden City, popularly called VGC, Osborne Foreshore, and now Banana Island. In this special report, Bayo Olaoye states that this talk of I belong and the prestige mentality has also spread to the big firms. Before now, Kingsway and Ozumba Mbadiwe used to say that Victoria Island were the go-to locations for high-rise office buildings. These locations are home to iconic developments such as Kingsway Towers, Heritage Palace, Fanfa Towers, the Wings and the Waves, among others, making them Nigeria's equivalent of Silicon Valley. The Eko Atlantic City was modeled after the skyscraper district of Manhattan Island in New York City. It has become the new destination for big-ticket corporate firms which are building or relocating their new headquarters to the 10-square-kilometer city, rising off the coast of the Atlantic Ocean in Lagos. The city is attracting investment interests in both residential and commercial real estate, the latest being MTN Nigeria, preparing to build a new headquarters. MTN is coming on the heels of First Bank, which recently turned the turf to build a 40-floor corporate head office, making the city's most iconic development so far. Prior to this courageous and ambitious entry into Eko City by MTN, First Bank, Dangote Group, and the Embassy of the United States of America have taken positions there, developing a new head office and a diplomatic facility respectively. Much earlier, a co-development company had occupied the city as the developer of the Azuri Towers, offering both residential and commercial facilities for high clients and corporate bodies. Arkaland Property Investment and Oak Homes are also in the city, developing A&A Towers simultaneously. These are the residential developments that will be standing on the 22nd floor and the 33rd floors respectively. Other developments are the Pan-African Towers by Periwinkle Residences, Eko Pearl with Champagne Tower and Eko Pearl Black Tower, Amni Towers and Ani International Petroleum Development Company, and Louisville Towers by Total Energy Staff Cooperative and Multipurpose Society. Louisville will comprise 300 residential homes spread between 2 towers, a world-class sporting center and a club, retail outlets and other facilities. It is designed to employ modern technology to achieve smart living and high standards. Eco Atlantic is an exclusive luxury city with superior infrastructure that appeals to the kind of investors we have seen in the city so far.
In Africa, and there's one man who has consistently been a household name and index of reference in the business arena. The name Aliko Dangote apparently stands tall. The Africa's richest man clearly benchmarks success, wealth, and prosperity. This unofficial love and passion for business are quite phenomenal. These can be traced to his background. Born in April 10, 1957 to Maria Sanusi Dantata and Mohammed Dangote, his maternal ancestors were prosperous caravan traders under British colonial rule, and his grandfather, Alhaji Sanusi Dantata, was a commodity trader. Dangote's grandfather was heavily involved in his upbringing and helped ignite his entrepreneurial spirit. For Dangote, one will ever assume his wealth was handed out or easily channeled. Being an offspring of Dantata, but his success didn't come through daydreaming. Dangote complemented inherited fortune with deliberate hard work and innovation to pave his way to the top. Those who knew Dangote while growing up would not be surprised at his outstanding success. At age 8, Dangote uses pocket money to buy sweets, which he and others sell for a profit. Everything big in life starts from little. Taking a clue from this, Dangote, from a seed loan of 500,000 obtained from his uncle, started business, which he traded commodities and business supplies, primarily cement. By 1981, his firm was successful that he had incorporated other businesses and established the Dangote Group. His empire extended to foodstuffs, including sugar, salt, wheat, cement, haulage, and other business concerns. Among his holdings were Dangote Industries, Dangote Bale Nigeria, Dangote Cement PLC, Benue Cement Company PLC, Dangote Sugar Refinery PLC, Dangote Flour Mills, and Nascent Ally Industries PLC. In addition to his holdings in Nigeria, the Dangote Group has operations in several other African countries. With these giant strides in the business arena, Dangote will forever be grateful to his grandfather for giving him wings to fly. According to Forbes, an American business magazine, Dangote remains the richest man in Africa with an estimated fortune of $13.9 billion. Dangote is one Nigeria, highly decorated with honors as well. His urine service and huge investment also got him both local and international recognitions. Like the Guardian Man of the Year in 2015, he won the 2016 African Business Leader Award organized by the African American Institute. Dangote was cited as one of the top most influential Africans by the New African magazine in 2015, 2017, 2018, and 2019. He was recently conferred with the prestigious award of the National Order of the Lion by the President of Senegal. When it comes to breaking jinx, Dangote has it in full measures. He took his pioneering and jinx-breaking adventure to another dimension with the unveiling of the $20 billion refinery, widely adjudged as the largest single-train petrochemical refinery in the world. The refinery has the total capacity of 650,000 barrels of crude oil per day and is expected to earn as much as $21 billion in annual income. Situated on 2,500 hectares site at the Lekki Free Trade Zone, Lagos, it is supplied with crude oil by the largest subsea pipeline infrastructure in the world. When fully in operation, the refinery will provide 135,000 permanent jobs in the region. When it comes to family life, Dangote seems to, however, prefer maintaining a low profile. He got married to Zainab in 1977 but divorced at an unknown date. He was later married to Maria Mohammed Rufai. Dangote has 3 daughters named Halima, Maria, Fatima, and he also adopted a son named Abdurrahman. Dangote is one grounded authority that combines real intelligence with self-effacing demeanor, a persona that naturally makes kindness. Like an eagle, Dangote's foresight and unusual business acumen make him a rare to come by. Though he owns chains of business in Nigeria and across Africa, the quest by this uncommon risk taker to conquer more business territories may not wane anytime soon.
Well, I think as the name goes, we're still faring very well. We're still holding on. Basically, Niger Delta Power Holding Company Limited is a Nigerian company owned by the federal government of Nigeria, the 36 states, and the 774 local governments. The federal government has 47% shares in NDPHC, and the 36 states and federal capital territory, plus the 774 local governments, own the remaining 53%. Originally, it was supposed to be a stopgap, build and sell power plants to increase the power availability. But in the process, as the company moved along, they discovered that if you build power plants, you also have to build complementary transmission networks. And then if you have transmission networks, you will also need the distribution network so that the power can ultimately get to the consumers. And so because of the gap that was in the sector at the time, Niger Delta Power Holding Company Limited was asked to build more power transmission networks, substations, injection substations. So over time, we had grown into the behemoth that we are today. Principally, we have 8 power plants functioning now, and then 2 are in the process of being completed. So that's what Niger Delta has been. But basically, I can say without any iota of contradiction that Niger Delta Power Holding Company Limited has been able to increase the capacity, the network capacity, by about 50%, and of course the distribution capacity by about 60%. We are capable of producing up to 4,000 megawatts now, but there are still some constraints in the transmission network, which is being addressed by the various arms of government and the various stakeholders in the sector. If I want to talk about the problems in the power sector, you need more than an hour program. They are multifaceted. And each time solutions are being found, they are not far-reaching enough. For instance, before the enactment of the Electric Power Sector Reform Act, it was thought that the problem was we didn't have enough generation power, and that's what gave rise to the NIPP, which is the National Integrated Power Project, which was basically to increase the power availability in Nigeria. And there were gaps because at that time, I don't think the solution was holistic enough. I'm talking of during the time of President Olusegun Obasanjo. You remember the National Integrated Power Project was conceived at the time. And it's strange that for the past many years, we are talking about 4,000 megawatts, 4,000. In reality, the available power in Nigeria is about 16,000 megawatts now, between 13,000 and 16,000 megawatts. So you wonder, why are we producing or generating or putting on the grid about 4,800 megawatts? So there's a gap. And the gap is basically the fact that the present network is aged. It's inadequate. There is fragmentation in the sector. You have, as of today, about 26 different bodies in the power sector. And it's a typical Nigerian problem. Once Nigeria identifies a problem, they create another agency to deal with that problem, rather than looking at the problem in the eye and say, this is the problem. And I can give you so many examples. For instance, traffic, which is very basic to everybody. When after the Udoji Award in the early 70s, I think it was in the early 70s, and people had phone to purchase cars, traffic began to grow. Now, instead of taking a holistic attitude and train the police to do what they're supposed to do, expand the road networks, and begin to put a culture of driving properly in the country, we created the yellow fever, the traffic wardens at the time. You remember at the time, traffic warden was separated from the Nigerian police. That's right. And the problem was not solved because the people were still constrained to virtually the same network of roads, more cars on the same network of roads. And then we stopped training drivers. So Federal Road Safety Commission was formed. And of course, I'm sure that you all know that the problem became worse. And now, all of the state governments are creating their own variants of the Federal Road Safety Corps. An example is LASMA in Lagos. And the people are still on the same roads. You know, so whereas we had 200 cars on a stretch of road, now we have 1,000. Now we have drivers who cannot read traffic signs, which are not even there. So today, when people see traffic lights, either in Abuja or in Lagos, I mean, they don't even know what to do. I'm sure that, I can't remember the last time we trained drivers in Nigeria. I cannot remember the last time we trained drivers in Nigeria. You know, it's the same thing with the issue of corruption. When we detected, corruption was increasing, we started creating so many variants of, and I always ask the question, where is the equivalence of EFCC in the countries that we're trying to be like? So we have created EFCC, we have created ICPC, we have created Bureau for, what's that other agency? Sorry? No. Those are another problem entirely. The BP and the BPP, you know. I mean, I'm talking of Code of Conduct Bureau. But in all honesty, can we say that corruption has reduced in Nigeria? Can we say that? So the problem is that we don't look at problems in the face and deal with the issue rather than creating bodies and bodies and bodies and bodies. We don't have the variants of EFCC, ICPC, and Code of Conduct Bureau in the countries that we're trying to be like. In this age and times, honestly, there are it's not rocket science. There is hardly anything you want to do that has not been done before or that is not being done in some other places. I mean, so you see in various sectors that once we identify a problem, rather than look the problem in the eye and providing solution to it, we create another body. It will appear to me that it is finding job for the boys, you know, and that is one of the reasons why we are where we are today. I cannot remember the last time anybody had to do driving tests to obtain a driver's license. I can't remember. In the US, if you want to obtain a driver's license, it's a long process. And I remember my daughter, when she went to the US at the age of 18, I remember when she wanted to go and obtain a driver's license, she called me and said, "Daddy, please pray for me." And I think the first time she went there, she didn't make it. And it was one slight error. And eventually, she had to go back, you know, to retake the test. So that's what I see that we're doing wrong. And that has virtually destroyed all the sectors. The power sector is faced with so many problems. I was trying to explain to you, for instance, that the discos have various coverage areas. And if you take them one by one, you will see that some of them are covering a landmass that is bigger than 2, 3, 4 African countries together. You know, somebody was on my secondary school classmates forum. Somebody was trying to do a comparison between Botswana and Nigeria. And I said, Botswana has 581,000 kilometers, square kilometers. But 70% of that is Kalahari Desert. So effectively, what they have is less than 100 and something thousand kilometers. Nigeria has a vast land. Botswana has a population of 2.5 or 2 point something million. You can't compare that to. There's no basis. There's no basis. And so if they have 1,000 naira, their GDP is likely to be higher than that of Nigeria. You know, Nigeria has 210 million people. Officially? Yes, officially. You know, you can see the population of Lagos. I'm sure that the population of Botswana is not as thick as Surulere alone. I'm not trying to give excuses for what we are in Nigeria or how we're doing things badly. But I'm saying that we have a giant problem. We have giant problems in all of the areas. And we need to put our heads together to provide solutions to these problems. You know, you can say that Nigeria is a country in progress. I know that we have enough human resources. We have enough intellectuals to find solution to our problems. And I'm beginning to see that the government of President Bola Ahmed Tinubu is tackling the problems headlong. I don't want to say that they work in silos. I mean, it should not be absolutely correct. I don't want to say that. That would be too negative. I would like to say that there's need for better collaboration between all of them. And then one of the greatest things that we need to do is that there must be a coordinating agency that is not encumbered with or by bureaucratic procedures. Okay, NEC is supposed to be the regulator in the society. Now, like I said before, if you have a regulator, they must be trained. And we shouldn't be ashamed to train our regulators and to ensure that we have the right people in those positions. But like I said, almost all the agencies in Nigeria, you find a lawyer heading an engineering company. You know, I mean, it's not done. And what happens is that I don't want to create a war between professions, but the truth of the matter is that if you are a lawyer and you have you're doing legal consultancy in the sector, that doesn't make you to be chief executive of a purely engineering company. You know, the last time it was an accountant that was in charge of one of the parasitals in the sector, and you know, even now that there's a new government, you see all kinds of people trying to outdo each other here and there. TCN, for instance, is supposed to be in charge of the transmission networks, but you have the independent ISO under them. How is that going to work? I mean, that is supposed to be an independent, and it cannot be under TCN. Yeah. You know, the discos, for instance, who is supervising them? NERC is supposed to supervise them, but you have on the board BPE, you know, that has 40% of the shares, and they're supposed to monitor them. Are they doing that? And then now the Yoruba people say amukun eru ewo oni ewo saleni. That is, if a man is crippled or has bent knees and is carrying a load, it's not likely that the load will be straight because the legs are bent anyway. So that is the problem that we have. You know, the root cause, we are not attacking the root cause. You know, the electricity power sector reform has a transition program But unfortunately, because we didn't do the privatization properly, we gave it to people who have no financial resources. They borrowed money from the banks to purchase the concession anyway, you know. Because they borrowed money from the bank, they don't have enough funds to repair the aging facility that they inherited. So that is a problem. Now the bank is on them. The bank lent them money for 5 years, or you know, whereas this is a sector that is, I mean, you need long-term fund. You know, you need to have enough money to lay new cables, replace transformers. Some of these transformers have been there since 1960-something, to replace them. Look, where I come from in Ondo South Central District, we have not had power for up to 15 years now from the national grid. Everybody is an electricity generator company on his own. When we stepped into it to see what was happening, we discovered that the distribution company did not have enough money to repair the damaged distribution networks. So NDPC stepped into it, and we've spent almost 3 billion to repair all of that.
3 billion.
Almost 3 billion. I mean, we're talking about 6 local governments. At a point, by the time we had finished the reticulation of the networks in 5 of the local governments, we discovered that the source of supply is from Ondo. Ondo has a 2 by 30 MVA substation. One of that substation is gone. So it means that the distance of almost 100 kilometers from Ondo to Ore and to Ilaje, to Bokoda area, to Mahin and Co. Just one single 33 kV line is coming from that. So by the time the light gets to Okitipupa, what you have is candle light. It's the same thing we saw in Lafia, for instance. For years, Lafia, even the government house in Lafia, was being operated on generator because the single line feeding Lafia and the entire Nasarawa state is from Abuja. So that's why we stepped in and built the 330, 132, 33 kV substation, which was commissioned early last year by President Muhammadu Buhari. And you can see the joy in the faces of the people. Now, in Ondo South Central District, for instance, they are building the NDDC, not NDPHC, is building a 132 kV substation in Uderinije, which should help to bring power from Omotosho and to that area. But they have been on it for years now. And without the completion of that, there's nothing that can happen in the place. They will still have candlelight. So these are the problems. Now, NDDC is independent of NEC. It's virtually independent of the DISCO. It's independent of the... But they are doing a good work because they have offered to do... They have identified the problem and they have offered to do it. But who is coordinating these activities to ensure that everybody is working? And you know, one of the things I always complain about is that since this past 6-10 years, for instance, TCN has many of its projects are 85-90% completed. Some of the problems are just way-live that the government should collaborate with the state governments to resolve. But what do you have? A substation is ready in Akure, for instance. A 330 kV substation is ready in Akure. The transmission line is supposed to come from Oshogbo to Akure, and another transmission line is supposed to come from Benin and drop in Akure. Because of way leave issue along the route from Oshogbo to Akure, that project has been stalled for almost 6 years. So there has to be an organization that is above neck, that is linked only to the president, that will look at all of these things. I talked about the fragmentation in the sector. You know, look, and let me tell you something. I know that electricity is a commercial venture. Yeah. And when you put your money there, you should be able to recover your investment. However, it's also a social contract between the government and the people. It's a social contract. You know, so if you have such a transmission line, everybody should be involved. And I remember that it has to be a responsibility. I remember when we were doing a project in Owerri, and because the transformers have been there for a long time, we needed to remove the transformers to a workshop somewhere in Ikorodu there for repairs, so that when they take them back, it can function properly. And we had given authority to the EPC contractor to go and remove the transformer. But of course, when the community saw that they were removing their transformer, this was a transformer that has not been functioning for the past 10, 15 years. They refused to let them go, and the governor had to intervene. The governor also refused to let them take the transformer away. I had to personally intervene with the governor, speak with the governor, write an undertaking before the transformer can be moved to the workshop for repairs. It's not repairs, but you know they need to change the oil and make sure it's in good working condition, because it's been on the plinth for 15 years. So there has to be a coordinating agency that is devoid of bureaucratic encumbers. Initially, NDPSC was created from the Federation account. The initial seed money for NDPSC was from the Federation account. However, since we started producing electricity, let me put it that way, we don't receive subvention from the government. So our revenue is from the sale of electricity.